This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole, and I do mean the whole in many terms, of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, might be if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us for what we're going to do in episode 148 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis. Alongside me, back in seat number 2. Good to see him again, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, War Eagle Kyle, War Eagle to our viewers and listeners. We're a little bit later tonight, and it's not because we got mixed up on daylight savings time.
That was your excuse, and you're out, to be honest with you. I was leaving it there for you.
it's just on travel things for me. So thanks for being flexible with us. And an hour later, if you're just listening, you had no idea anyway. So I'm just peeking behind the curtain for you.
Just a little peek behind the curtain. Sometimes you don't want to peek behind the curtain as much. And this might be one of those days where, you know, Austin, I would like to say something right off at the start, but should we challenge ourselves to see how long we can go in this show without saying it?
We can. I don't think it'd be too bad for me, but I think you're going to struggle with that.
I'm going to really struggle with it. I don't know how long I made it into a certain live reaction show without saying it. Somebody from the live chat can go check that out and time me on that one. But man, yeah, we got an interesting show today. 2 main topics for you: a change in leadership for football, and we're also going to try to, give basketball its due and preview that, since we weren't able to be together last week. I wanted to save this, even though literally the schedule begins tomorrow night when we're recording on a Sunday. And then we have a little bit of potpourri. We're going to change things up a little bit here tonight, do a little bit of that at the end. We're kind of waiting on something to finalize, which looks like we're getting close to that, just so we can report on it. But let's be honest. If you're here watching live, if you're checking in, you're here for one thing and one thing only, and that's the big news story that we'll get to in our main topic segment. But I just want to give a little bit of lightheartedness here to start off the show, Austin. And I want to ask you something as an Auburn resident. I heard a rumor, by the way, it was just Halloween, if y'all didn't know that. And I mean, now that I'm thinking about the correlation back to previous events about 2 years ago, I think it was on a Halloween night, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yeah.
Potato.
3 years.
3 years? Oh, gosh. It's been 3 years.
It's been 3. Yep.
All right. We'll get there. Is Auburn not doing their trick-or-treating downtown after this year? I thought I read something
that's
about
correct. Yeah, that's correct. This is the last year. I think it was the 25th year, and so they called it quits. I never saw too much. It's nice to hear some background noise from someone else, not me. I think that I was like, wait. Anyway, I totally forgot what I was saying because that threw me for a loop. I'm going to have to get used to that. Halloween is not downtown anymore after this year. I didn't really see the details of exactly why, other than just I think it's become a pretty big ordeal. But that was kind of leading into what I was going to say too this year is it was a weird year with Halloween was on the Friday night before a home game. Mm-hmm. Downtown Auburn does it big, or they used to, I guess.
Do it big then.
Officially say, do it big then. And they will no longer. But it was on Thursday this year.
Okay.
Because of the Halloween date and
Friday night
home game. Yeah, so
all that.
Pretty wild time. That caused some drama in the local area.
Yeah, I saw that, and if there wasn't going to be enough drama stirred up this week,
of course not.
Listen, I was frankly hoping to come to town, had not life gotten crazy for me, to maybe do that last little coverage of the downtown event. So I hate that we missed covering it, but I also hate that you as an Auburn resident don't have that, because I'm sure the boys would have loved that at some point if you guys have been able to do that. And
yeah, we're blessed to live in a really great neighborhood that did it. And so it's always kind of weird, like, and this is going to sound like authoritarian regime type, but like the city of Auburn, like pretty strongly suggests when you should have trick or treat or like the times.
Basically, like just do it now or do it then, and
Yeah,
or
and
else.
it really has never made sense to me, especially because they say this is when they're doing the downtown thing, and this is when you should trick or treat. When it's like, when you want those differently so that people go to the downtown thing and do their thing in their own neighborhood, whatever. But most of the city also said we're doing it on Thursday, and so that worked out for us. We were out of town for actual Halloween night, but our neighborhood was fantastic and good for
Yeah.
the boys to have some time.
It sounds like you would say that the powers that be are running when you get to do Halloween in Auburn and that kind of stuff, maybe boosters, things like, you see what I'm saying? Some of the old narratives stirring up again about
Yeah.
that we're hearing a lot of.
It definitely feels like one of those things that Auburn's probably gotten too big for, as far as like, we're going to say when we were all going to trick or treat in the loveliest village. And it's like, it doesn't really work that well anymore. But nonetheless, it was good. Did you have a good Halloween, sir?
Yeah, listen, I thought, like I said, at one point I'd be in town for that to maybe catch some of the shenanigans downtown and stuff like that. By the way, funny story. I know you guys are like, shut up and get to the stuff we want to talk about. But
yeah, people really want to know about basketball. We got to get to
that's right. We got to talk about basketball. Funny story. So when I was a student, for at least part of the time, I lived and was one of the residents at the Auburn Baptist Campus Ministries downtown, and we always had our, very tame little costume party and stuff, just like everybody else did. And then one year I dressed up as Spider-Man back in the day when I could fit into a Spider-Man outfit and actually look, somewhat resembling it. And my best friend and roommate dressed up as the Joker. And they did his makeup up great. Like, we're talking about the Dark Knight Joker.
Oh yeah, scary stuff.
We got this wild idea that with just knowing all the bar scenes downtown, people lined up to get into places, that it would just create havoc if he and I would just go run through downtown, like amongst the lines to get into all the different bars and things like that. Just, acting like he was the Joker chasing me, which makes no sense if you know comics.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring that up, but
we did it, and I slipped and fell right in front of Skybar, ripped the shins and the knees out of the Spider-Man, and like was bleeding everywhere. And it actually made my costume look more legit. But I think we were the talk of Auburn studentdom.
I don't doubt it
at that time. But just a little funny story for Halloween, since we kind of started off with that. We needed something a little lighthearted to start tonight. Speaking of scary things, hey, it didn't have to be this way. I started it.
There it is.
What was that? 8:50 on my clock here officially of the recording of the broadcast. The recording's probably a little bit quicker in that. Like I said, we're gonna forego potpourri at the start. Auburn football is officially in search of a head coach again. The announcement came down today. Hugh Freeze has been let go, parted ways, and we'll see the fourth head coach in 5 years. Am I doing the math correctly on that one?
Yeah, that'd be right. 2020, yeah.
So 2020, it didn't have to be this way. There's two. Look, we've done a reaction stream about it. If you want to just get initial thoughts, we've had a few hours to digest all this stuff. We've been pretty privy this was going to happen at some point, even if you're just a general person of just paying attention. How about that? Everybody saw the writing on the wall. This one, I don't know what the best way to tackle this with you is, Austin. Maybe the best way to do it, let's start with, why didn't it work? How about that? Can I ask you that? Why didn't it work with Hugh Freeze here in year 3?
Yeah, I don't think it, like you said, if you've kind of been watching and paying attention, I think that you'd probably have the similar answer. But I think that we can all kind of point to the offensive execution never came to fruition like we hoped it would, and like Coach Freeze hoped it would, and the level of talent that was brought in on this team, kind of the expectations that were put on it. Mm-hmm. Some outlandish, some not, some, it didn't check most of the boxes. And I think that is okay. That was okay for some time. And we talked a lot on this show and covered various press conferences about Hugh Freeze asking for patience from the fan base and acquire talent. Look, like if you've listened to the show at all, you know how much I think the previous regime, previous now, left the cupboard bare.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to hear patience in this day and age. That's what Hugh Freeze said 24 hours ago.
Yep.
But especially coming off of Potato Man and the staff and the lack thereof of recruiting that happened in that day and age, that there was a need for some patience to get this thing back rolling. And I hope people, and I think you can see it directly reflected in John Cohen's statement today. I hope people recognize that the roster is back where it should be, in many aspects. And Hugh Freeze deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yep.
A lot. And I think people, maybe don't have a problem with it, but are neglecting to do that in a sense, because they're caught up in a bunch of emotions and however you feel. Look, he's been let go, so it's happened.
It's done. Yeah.
But the roster is back to where it is because of Hugh Freeze and a lot of the emphasis he put on it in his 2.5 years here. So he deserves credit for that. But overall, why it didn't work, the offense never reached what it should be. And to give Auburn a chance in year 3 of a coaching staff to be considered in the playoff race, things like that. I heard a stat today, and I'm really sorry for whoever put it out there. I'm not going to be able to credit correctly, but there's 3 teams in America right now who have not allowed 24 offensive points, and that would be Auburn, Ohio State. And Indiana.
Yeah,
and those are your top 2 teams in the country right now. So
let that sink in.
That why it didn't work.
That's it.
That's kind of it, and we'll get to it. But and I'm not taking anything away from the defensive side.
Yeah,
they still are elite. Everyone agrees this is a championship defense, and if there was just like a pulse on offense, then that Auburn would be doing things you'd love listening to us every week talk about.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunately that's kind of how it fell, and the defense that Hugh Freeze tried to bring, or the offense Hugh Freeze tried to bring in and get working, it just never came to fruition.
And I think that's where you cut it down to. The recruiting was there. And folks, when we're talking about the recruiting and we're talking about roster building back up to where it should be, we're not talking about stars. We're not talking about rankings. We're talking about actual on-the-field results. You had true freshmen, true sophomores all throughout his tenure here, earning playing time, taking over starting positions, becoming all SEC type of talent and contributors, and then even finding some of these great pieces like Xavier Atkins, who basically was like a high schooler coming in because he had so much eligibility left. I mean, just look at that. And that's all thanks to Hugh Freeze. So there is thanks to be had. There's frustrations to be had as well, because this is certainly something that you're known for in offense. And when it doesn't work, people point at that. And, the term that gets thrown around, and no one's ever called themselves an offensive guru. I see these comments all the time. It's like, for someone who calls himself an offensive guru, I have never heard someone call themselves that, folks. Like, that is the most conceited thing ever. That is something that y'all are applying onto them. But listen, today I sit here, as I said last night on the reaction show of the game, the reaction of the news today. There's nothing really for me to defend the performance in the Kentucky game. Not even defend. There's nothing for me to just walk away with like, I can make peace with. I can't make peace with that. That was horrendous. It was awful. And Hugh said as much. And so you couple that with the context of the rest of the year. Here we sit with a brand new vacancy. It doesn't feel brand new because it's been vacant a lot as of recent years. But Auburn will be looking for their next head coach. The last question I have for you on that subject before we try to move along in this discussion, it's the tough one, Austin. Was this the right decision to fire Hugh Freeze?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people would say it's not tough, and I think that they look at that. You look at that a little black and white when you say something like that, because this affects a lot of areas. This does not just affect one person being unemployed. it will have a domino effect to a lot of people who aren't getting $15 million who will be having to go home to families and say we're moving again or things of that nature. So there are domino effects here where it all falls into, is this the right decision? The Freeze family has been very involved in Auburn for the last 3.5 years, in a way, in some ways, even longer. And truly, from my interactions, are fantastic people. And I think you'll see them be in Auburn a lot. A trend that tends to happen with coaches that we get let go from Auburn. They tend to find their way back because this is a special place. But I think when you, as the athletic director and the board of trustees and the university president and whoever all is involved in these things, it's probably way more people than we ever want to know. You have to look at some things outside of just, oh, the guru isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. And I think you can find some hints of those things happening as far as apathy, as far as some checking out from players, fans, things like that. And you lose some of the stuff that can, if you lose too much, sends you down a dark hole in a college athletics department. And I think there were some hints of that happening. That's just my opinion on it. And certainly $15 million is a lot to you and me. It's a lot to most people. I'm not going to get into something else. I almost went down the road, but I'm not going to do it. However, I think in the era we're in, it makes sense if you can do it and come out the other side. And this probably moves into the speculative side. And I want Kyle, you to give you a chance to answer if this was the right decision on your end. Because I know you probably have on live streams and things, but I want to give our people who maybe only listen to the show a chance to hear you. Coaching searches are, for lack of a better term, an absolute crapshoot. There are no guarantees, zero. And some of you are like, "Oh, yes, there is. If we hire Nick Saban, you have literally you cannot guarantee me Nick Saban would be what he is here, what he has been here. And first of all, he's not coming here. He's very happy and making so much money, but there are no guarantees in this. And so there is a roll of the dice when you fire someone, regardless of how bad they've been, on what happens next. If you don't believe that, you can look at the last 5 years. You can look at 15 years ago and look at Auburn hiring Chizik, who we've all seen the tape of him getting off the plane and being booed, and he wins a national championship 2 years later. And then 2 years after that, he's fired for the worst season Auburn's had in decades. So it truly, there is no guarantee in this sport when you go through coaching changes. But for where we're at and where the program was at and where it looked like the trajectory might be, it seems like this was probably the right time.
Yeah, I think I said today, wrong person, right time for Auburn. Right person, wrong time for Auburn. You do wonder if there wasn't such a hole to dig out of in different time in Hugh's career, would this have been a marriage made in heaven? Is it the right decision right now? Here's what I'll refer back to. You can go back to live streams when we started really getting into YouTube 5 years ago, when a certain event happened and I sat behind a microphone just like this one with less quality and graininess and said, and looking in the camera, I went back and found the clip myself. Auburn just made a decision that will enter into its decade of irrelevancy that Tennessee just came out of. We're 5 years into it, folks. I don't sit here today feeling that same way in terms of this is a decision that will kill Auburn, but I do think it is a decision that negates a lot of the progress that was made. And I hope I'm wrong. And here's the reality of that. I hope I'm wrong, because that means Auburn succeeds. A lot of you don't want to be wrong because you'll have to eat your own words and stuff like that with some of your negativity. But frankly, I hope I'm wrong in all of this. I don't think it's not about right and wrong for me. I think it's hard to look at what we saw against Kentucky and go, we can continue on this way. I think Hugh even recognized it. So I wish them nothing but the best. I know that's over said, never done. I sincerely mean this. Prayers for him and his family, for what they have meant for the community of Auburn, what they've done for the program in terms of, even the things that aren't seen. Prayers specifically to Hugh and his health and what he's been battling behind the scenes. And people forget that sometimes. People want to act like that's not needing to be factored into this at all. It is a factor into this. Cancer is a scary beast, folks. And when you're managing the stresses of an Auburn program that's trying to find its relevance again amongst that's something that you got to factor into all of this. So I genuinely mean that. And last thing, and I'll shut up. For those of you that continue in the stands to boo, to begin chants as students, fire, freeze, while the alma mater is going on, for those of you that continue to come onto comment sections and say the most despicable and disgusting things, Hugh Freeze will always be the bigger man and the better Auburn man than any of you will ever be. And that's not a lot of our audience. That's not a lot of the Auburn audience as a whole. That's the vocal, sad trolls, message board, and keyboard warriors. And I promise you that when we find you in our audience, you will no longer be part of that audience anymore. I may have gone a little bit too far with that, but I got no qualms at this point. Despicable behavior on some of y'all. And I may or may not have gotten into it with a student or two leaving the stadium. I'll be honest with you. Somebody said that they hated the university. I asked, well, then why are you here? We don't need you here. Anyway, so I'll leave it at that before I go too much further and all that. Hugh Freeze is now out, and we are moving on. What's next, Austin? We've got DJ Durkin coming in as interim head coach. I think probably the most next move by any Auburn program ever. Outstanding defense, and players seem to be excited about that as well for the most part, especially the defensive guys. But listen, that's great. What's the offense going to look like? And will there be offensive staff changes? What's going to happen at quarterback? You've got 3 really big games coming up. I mean, 2, let's just be frank, even as bad as things are right now, we still should win against Mercer. But you got Vanderbilt on the road. I know.
They're 7-1.
I know. Just give me let me cook. Vanderbilt is tough, and that's weird to say. If you're just now checking in from 1995, yes, they're tough. And then you got Alabama here at home, which is always it's going to be a great game regardless, because it's the Iron Bowl. It's the greatest rivalry in sports. So where are you sitting at with all of this? Like the Durkin hire? What are you doing offense? What you got?
Yeah, like you said, literally zero surprise that DJ Durkin is the interim head coach at Auburn. I don't think that would have shocked anybody at all whatsoever. If it didn't, if it did, you just really haven't been around. I don't know what you've been listening or watching, but it's a great move. I think, obviously he's one of the older, not in age, but in experienced guys on staff, and has a lot of experience leading programs, and is a very organized person, has done a really good job at what his job is for a long time. So, I think he's earned that right. I think it certainly gives him an opportunity to throw his hat in the ring for this job, and who knows what could happen. I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion. If he wins 3-0 here and then maybe a 4-0 bowl game, that he gets the job. I'm not saying it necessarily should be either. I think you do this thing the right way because it matters who you hire. And for this next position is a major position for Auburn moving forward. But he will certainly have his say in if he's a candidate through how these next games go, fair or not. And then from the offensive standpoint, that's the next big question. Who's calling plays, who's being retained, and who's sticking around on the offensive side of the ball. And if there are changes made, who is elevated into those positions? Because you have a game in 6 days on the road against a top 15 team. So it's not great timing. And truthfully, we'll peel back the curtain. Kyle and I thought we'd be doing the show on the bye week.
Kind of we're planning around that.
We're planning on it. And so we've moved up here a week. But I think that, or 2 weeks. No.
Yeah, you got it.
In a sense, one or two.
Yeah.
So there's lots of questions. I think, if I remember right, I've been driving, so I'm not totally sure. I think I heard we'll hear from Durkin tomorrow.
Tomorrow with AD Cohen.
So hopefully maybe we get some of those questions answered on what the offensive identity is supposed to look like. I would caution people. I don't think it's gonna look all that different. Now you could argue
it would make sense.
It can't look much better, and it can't look much worse. And I would agree with you. But it's the same players, and we're not going to get into the Kentucky game tonight. It's just really not that relevant, honestly. But there were some rough patches for some units. So they're the same players, but it's a matter of, will maybe play calling look different? Will schemes look different? Things like that. How much you can do with a brand new staff in 5 days will be very interesting to see. I think one thing that I haven't seen talked about a lot, I heard it talked about earlier today, is that obviously during the Kentucky game, we went Ashton Daniels starting, Jackson Arnold comes in for 2 drives, we go back to Ashton Daniels, and Deuce Knight never sees the field. We are at the point where it's a little bit of gamesmanship now, where Deuce Knight can play the rest of the season, including a hypothetical bowl game, and well, that's not accurate. I apologize. He could play the rest of the season, not a bowl game, and maintain his eligibility of a red shirt this year.
Right.
So I think that that's a relevant possibility to see. Do we see Deuce Knight maybe run this thing a little bit more? Some hope for the future. Lots of questions to be answered. I think we'll find out more tomorrow. We probably won't find out a lot more till next Saturday, though.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some tomorrow from the press conference. If you're seeing this tomorrow, obviously maybe you know some of those already. But while the offense probably isn't going to look that drastically different, the makeup of it, the leadership of it, maybe even the philosophy of that offense in some ways changes a little bit. And you've got an important thing. You got a big game coming up. You got to get ready for it. Frankly, if, one of the tragedies of this situation is, as you said, we thought if this decision was made, it would be during the bye week to give an interim Durkin an extra week to prepare. He's already got to get going here. And I've seen some clips and photos shared by recruits tonight. He's already been on the phone with a bunch of them. So don't have any doubts that he has not gone straight to work to right the ship or at least hold the ship steady for the rest of the season, because there is a season still to play and a season to salvage in some ways. Which hasn't been able to be said for a few other seasons, to be honest with you. But that's the immediate things right now. Let's talk about the future, because that's really what folks want to mainly focus on right now, the true future. And we are sitting here literally hours from the announcement that Hugh Freeze was fired. Interim head coach DJ Durkin is right here. Whenever you have an interim status, you're at least considered for the role. I think that's where you have to start first, Austin. Just be honest, because I think it's fair to say he's got an audition. You have 3 games that if you go and look completely different as a team, I don't know how you're going to really do that, but if you do that against a ranked and very good Vanderbilt team at their place, if you take care of business as you are hopefully expected to do by Mercer, you somehow knock off Alabama at home and go to a bowl game and get a win, 4 straight wins to end the season, and that should change the trajectory of everything. To me, I think you would probably be stupid outside of the other points of interest in the conversation about Durkin not to really take seriously him as an option. Am I fair in saying that?
I think that's totally fair. And I think that, it might not be fair to say he only gets 3 games here to be an audition. But that's the hand that's been dealt. Yep. And I'm hesitant to say that the offense that much will change, and that really shouldn't be an indictment on DJ Durkin as interim head coach, because I feel all the confidence in the world his side of the ball up until this week, which is his side of the ball. Now he has both. Now he has the team almost. I'll tell you later.
Come on, keep going there. Keep going.
Now that he has the entire team, I'm not sure, much will change on the offensive side that has kind of plagued Auburn this year.
Yeah.
By him being elevated, if that makes sense. Like,
sure.
I don't really expect one of the greatest defensive coordinators in the game right now to change the offensive identity at the moment.
But if he does,
but if something changes, and maybe that's more of a reflection on unearthing something for the staff that is still there, there's something to look at. Now, I think that he will get every chance to be considered a real candidate for this role by being the interim and everything, and as he should. We'll see. I'll be very honest too. I see a world where he's still here, even if he doesn't get the head job. Okay. I think that's
gonna be my next question.
I don't think that's an impossible thing to come out of this. But we'll have to see. Right now, like you said, he's the only one that's going to get to wear Auburn colors and literally audition for this job out of all the names you're going to hear about that might be interested. So he has the upper hand.
I was going to say, is it fair to right now put him in the lead?
Maybe. I don't know.
Speculatively, based off very little information about everything else. Like, I mean,
by default, I think you would have to.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I do think still, regardless, John Cohen, and I think they will, John Cohen and Auburn Athletics should do their due diligence and talk to as if they already haven't, talk to the people that might be interested or that might be an even better fit for Auburn. They owe it to Auburn. I'll be honest with you, and I don't get this. They owe it to the fans who continue to sell that stadium out to find the best fit and the person that's going to get this thing back going.
Last thing on him, certainly there is the past issues with what he was involved at Maryland. And look, I'm still to this day not as well informed on that as I should be. There was the death of a player involved and all that stuff, and a lot of ridicule for how the program was being run under his tenure at Maryland. And I've already seen it today about media members coming out and acting like, people don't get a second chance and things like that. I'm not saying that I fully believe that you face your earthly consequences when you have something that you've done wrong or been a part of something wrong or something like that. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be given opportunities to grow, change, and things like that. It is an important part of the conversation, though. So don't hear me not saying, don't even talk about that. Like if you are already removing someone the opportunity simply because of what they've done in their past, I'm going to need to see your resume laid out here so we can talk about whether you even need to be having an opinion or not. And I'm pretty sure most of you are going to not be able to have much of a say.
Agreed. And like you said, I'm not as well versed on it as I should be. I do know there's some things I've read. There's been some clearances of some involvement in some of those things. I don't think that gets near the headline shocker as the negative things. But that is all part, and I would hope so. Like I just talked about that there's a ton of due diligence being done. I would hope in all these aspects that is one of the things being covered as well. And I believe that will be the case. So we'll have to see. It's going to be fun, whether it's Durkin, whether it's these other names. I don't know how much you want to get into other names at the moment.
Let's real quickly, because here we're sitting Sunday evening, hours after anything's fair game. The segment, when you see this segment, for those of you watching the recording, things have changed. So we are literally just talking. I think it's obvious that John Sumrall is a name that's just flying out of everybody's mouths and in articles right now. With his, I guess, rebuilding of Troy and how well he's done at Tulane's impressive, but that feels a little bit like, is he ready for the big time? There's a lot of talk about culture fit. I mean, is there anything else I'm missing from the John Sumrall fit that feels like that should be a candidate?
It feels like every year there's a,
is this the Bill Clark? Is this the Bill Clark thing?
I think this is more the Billy Napier thing, and now that's lost some of its shine, and I understand that. I think that's could be why you might have some caution. That's totally understandable. I think it is elevated more. He's from Huntsville.
There you go.
He coached at Troy. I feel like there's a lot of similarity connections and relationships with Auburn and Troy. So I think that's just a natural fit. It seems like it's been like this like underlying connection between John Summerall and Auburn for a month now. So I think you're going to hear about that a lot. I think that, look, everyone else and their mother is joining the Lane Kiffin sweepstakes again. I think Auburn will kick the tires again. I'd be you got a call, right? And then I think there's other names that we're not breaking any news here, but there's other names that, like Eli Drinkwitz. There's certainly Rhett Lashley just signed an extension with SMU reportedly, but there's all these people with Auburn ties or that have all been mentioned around here. You will hear more, and there will be some from way out in left field. I did see USA Today put out Manny Diaz at Duke. I'm not an expert. I don't see that happening. So I'm going to rule that one out on the E2C Network Auburn Experience hot board. We're going to cross that one out. But silly season is what we call a lot of the offseason. For Auburn, it's come early again for the first time in 3 years. And anyone expecting Auburn to name a new coach before the season, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Okay.
Yes.
Clip that if you want. Maybe they do it. Maybe they promote Durkin the morning of the Iron Bowl, and you can come back and clip that and show it to my face. But Auburn will not be naming a new head coach before the season is over.
Let's put it out on the table here. The hottest names at the moment, hours after the announcement: DJ Durkin, John Summerall, Eli Drinkwitz, probably still Rhett Lashley, Lane Kiffin. Am I missing anybody else that's in the big talk right now?
Man, I'm trying to think. Look, I think that I think a lot of people want to throw James Franklin in there. He's obviously has a lot of notoriety.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just see that as much as for Auburn, but I feel like those are probably your five.
Yeah. Right
there. And this is another, people are not going to like this, but I feel like it's been talked about enough. Another one I think that you'll see, because he's part of the good old boy network, is I think Charles Kelly will be talked about with this job. He is in his first year at Jacksonville State. I do not by any means think he is toward the top for this job, but I think that because of how long he's been around Auburn and the relationships he has, that will be a talking point, and you will see Charles Kelly discussed. However, I think you mentioned five. Those are the five I would consider are there right now and are what we're starting with on day one.
Well, and I was going to ask you who's the name that we're not talking about. So you it's almost like we've been doing a show together for a few years now. And
just a little bit.
All right, rapid fire here, and then we're going to move on. I want a percentage confidence. I want a percentage confidence from you. How about this? Sorry, let me back up. Kenny Dillingham.
I don't see it. No.
Okay.
I
didn't feel it either.
That guy is Arizona State through and through. I don't think he cares if another job comes. I just don't see Dilly coming back.
All right, last little quick rapid fire here. I want percentage confidence of the name. Sitting here hours after the announcement, I'm gonna throw the name at you. You tell me gut reaction, percentage confidence. Yes,
this is terrible.
You got.
I've already asked people to quit me. Okay,
3 seconds. Here we go. All right, Lane Kiffin.
Like 2%.
John Summerall.
50.
Wow. Eli Drinkwitz.
Do these have to add up to 100?
No. This is just your
I'm not doing
confidence
math either.
of a surety, like that, or not a surety, but just how confident you feel over the others. Go ahead. So,
what was the third one?
Eli Drinkwitz.
25.
Did I say John Summerall? You already did that one. Rhett Lashley.
15.
DJ Durkin.
50.
So 250s right there.
I've got them two just above everyone else. Just I don't know either of them. I've talked to one of them personally one time. I know nothing about either of them as far as where they're on John Cohen's list. I just feel like given the, like we talked about with Durkin, as he's got the audition chance.
Yeah.
And John Summerall has been talked about in the public sphere for like longer than it is necessary. It just feels like those are the two that are on hour number 7 of the search right now. So that feels like where we're starting out.
And since you brought it up, Charles Kelly.
Whatever I said for Rhett, 10%.
Okay, there you go. You can clip it and hold it against Austin.
I'm sure you will. Somebody will.
Oh, I'm clipping it and putting it out there for the world to see because I didn't say it. You did. Anyway, we'll certainly be talking about that probably weekly and monthly for a little bit of time. There it is, Auburn football. It didn't have to be this way. Auburn basketball season's here, folks. We got something to get really excited about here. New era, and I don't mean just a new era for men's basketball, women's basketball too. Hey, there's new eras abounding everywhere right now for Auburn, and so there's a lot to maybe be excited about, especially in this space. We are not going to be able to do the full justice of a preview that we probably should, just given what's been going on this week, time constraints, things. But what we're going to do our best for you is to give you what you all love to talk about, previews, our predictions and things without us even thinking about it too much about the basketball season. So we're just gonna let's do men's basketball here. I'm going to give you a little bit of the season preview, and then I want some predictions for you. Let's start.
You're just going to make me I'm just going to be clipped left and right out of this episode.
Have you not learned that's how this works now? All right. Men's basketball season, very not well thought through predictions in terms of, let's start with non-conference. Okay. You have got a total of 13 games. Just to put it into perspective, the difficulty level, you've got to go on the road. Excuse me. We're hosting Houston. You're going to the Players Era tournament with Oregon and Michigan. Hosting. I'm sorry. What did I say?
Quote unquote hosting Houston.
Yeah, quote unquote. But Houston, whatever you want to, however you want to look at that. You are going to the Players Era tournament, taking on Oregon and Michigan, and then a third team somewhere in that, which is going to probably be a highly qualified. Boy, if that happens, man. At Arizona. And then neutral site with number 1 Purdue currently. You thought last year's was difficult non-conference. This is probably about as close as you get, if not in some people's view.
And the ACC Challenge with NC State coming to
NC State.
Will Wade coming to.
I skipped over Bethune-Cookman. I'm sorry.
That's not the same.
I know. I'm anyway. All right. 13 games, Austin. Just as best as you can give us gut reaction to how this is going to go and a prediction.
Look,
I'm gonna write it down too.
Man, one, it's crazy that it starts tomorrow with Bethune-Cookman. I think that, and you heard Stephen Pearl talking about some of this, some of these teams are going to be, Auburn fans are going to say, we should beat the stew out of them. We should be up 30 at all times. And then you're going to see those teams in March. They're going to be one of those double-digit seeds that because they won their conference, they punched their ticket, all those things. That's how Auburn's scheduled for years. So with Bethune-Cookman, Merrimack, Wofford, Jackson State, those are the ones Auburn should win. Chattanooga, Queens, Auburn should win. For the sake of this exercise, I'm going to say they do. Sure. So that would be 5, right? Mm-hmm. 5, and then you have all the ones we just discussed. Houston at home. 3 in the Players Era tournament with 1 being unknown. NC State at Arizona. I'm gonna say, let's see. I'm just gonna go to those. I'm gonna say
writing this down.
I'm gonna say Auburn loses in Birmingham to Houston.
Okay.
That way they split the trip. They split the series. They take one where we in their place, or we take one in their place. They take one in ours. That'd be the first really big test for the staff and this new look roster. Mm-hmm. Now look, we said the same thing last year, and look what happened. It was a big test. Maybe we'll get in a fight up on the way up to 280. Who knows?
Please, no. But, please, I can't take any more this year. No.
I'm going to say a loss on that one. Oregon, Michigan, and unknown. That's like it's 3 max, right? Like it doesn't matter how many you win or not.
I think they listed as whoever makes it to the consolation games and then the championship out of how you ever figure that out. I don't know.
So they're going to figure that out. Okay, I'm going to say that Michigan is 7th. Wow. I'm going to say Auburn goes 2-1 there. I don't know who. Which one do you have to? Are you going to make me give that?
No. No, you can
Okay.
just
I'm going to say 2-1.
It's going to be a good team. It's going to be a good team.
It is. So I'm going to say that puts us at 7-2. I'm taking way longer on this than I should.
That's fine.
I'm going to say they lose at Arizona, 7-3. I'll say they beat Will Wade at home. NC State 8-3. Chad said they beat Chad, and Purdue's number 1. You can tell how much I've looked at basketball so far.
Right. Purdue should be number 1.
Yeah, I'm going to say 9-4. I'm going to say 9-4.
I literally had you pegged as a 9-4 guy for non-conference. Yeah, I don't know why. That's like he's going to go 9-4. All right, I'm going to gut reaction to this. Win.
Oh gosh, hang on, I got to be looking at this. Say it again.
Okay, so I'm going in order.
Okay,
I'm naming them. Win.
Oh boy.
Win.
Oh boy.
Loss. Win.
Whoever it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loss.
Oh.
Win.
Oh.
Loss. Win. So that's 4 losses.
Wait a minute. You had Chattanooga as a loss?
No. Arizona. We may have gotten off track there. Basically, I said we lose to 1 in Las Vegas. We lose at Arizona. We lose Purdue. So I had 3. So
10-3.
Listen, that was a gut one, and I am not actually confident, but I'm going to stick to it just so we can have some variance with it.
So 10-3 with losses to Purdue, Arizona, and
1 in Las Vegas. Yeah,
Michigan and Vegas, or just 1 in Vegas.
Just 1 somewhere in there.
Okay,
we're going to lose.
Right.
It's a great tournament.
So Auburn starts off really well.
Yeah.
In Kyle's world, and goes 6-0 with 5-0 with a win over 6. Count Austin. No, 5.
Math is hard, isn't it?
It is hard. 5-0 going to Vegas with a win over Houston and Birmingham.
I'm calling
it. It'd be fun.
I'm pumped for this new era, man. All right, so SEC 18 games as it always is, or at least until we add more SEC teams. So look at that again, Austin, real quick. I know we did this earlier, way too early predictions, and I think we both agreed it was going to be tough to get out of here with like 5 losses.
Retired.
That was before all that. Like, I mean, it's going to be rough, man. So, perspectives of the season and best guess on record for the SEC, which will give us our complete records.
All right. I'm looking through. I'm just going to kind of read them as we go so I can get in my head. I'm going to go by month. Does that work?
Yeah, it's fine.
Auburn goes to Athens, start the conference play in January 3rd. We don't have that weird SEC game before the new year. That's kind of,
I know. It's really weird, isn't it?
Auburn goes to Athens to start the year and then host Buckyball and Texas A&M for their first game inside Neville Arena. Then host John Calipari in Arkansas. Then go to Mizzou. And then host South Carolina. On the road at Ole Miss, on the road in Gainesville. That's a loss. I'm just telling you right now. Home against Texas and at Tennessee. Woo! We're gonna say. I'm gonna say win. No, I'm gonna take that back. Win. Loss. Win. Loss. This is riveting audio.
Right?
Win, loss.
Okay.
So maybe I said 1, 2, 3.
I thought I had 4 in there, but you're saying 3 losses only in SEC? Oh, that's month.
In January.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're going months. Go ahead.
In January.
Okay.
Are you keeping up with this for me?
I actually wasn't, but now I will. 3. So
I'm saying this is just awful segment here. I'm saying at Tennessee, at Florida, and at Missouri.
You said basically the ats. You're on the road. You're saying Auburn is going to stay undefeated at home in the month of January. Okay.
No, they'll beat Ole Miss on the. Oh yeah, at home.
I will go with you similar. I'm going to say loss at Arkansas if we're just doing January, or loss versus Arkansas at home.
I thought about it.
I'm going to go loss at Florida and loss at Tennessee. We are the same.
That's
in
not
January.
Much different. Yeah.
Just a little bit disagreeing on the teams. So that brings us to the month of February. And I guess maybe you could include March, and there's 2 in there if you want.
Yeah, I'll try to go the whole way.
Yeah.
That we got home against Alabama, home against Vanderbilt, at Arkansas, because they are a two-teamer this year, which is we're not going to talk about again.
Make it make sense.
At Mississippi State, home against Kentucky, at Oklahoma, home against Ole Miss, home against LSU, and then on the road to end the year in Tuscaloosa. I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna say it's 1-1 versus Alabama. I don't know which one. And I'm not telling any of you which ones I'm going to. I'm gonna say 1-1 against Alabama. I'm gonna say they lose at Bud Walton to Arkansas, so that's 2 losses. And I'm going to say, I don't want to do that. I will. I'm going to say they lose to Kentucky and 1 more. So I'm going to say 4 losses from February to March.
So that's 7 losses total.
So 7 losses total. That makes it 11-7.
Do you like that?
Yeah, that's probably about where I'd be.
Okay, so
11-7 or 12-6.
Austin will lock in at 11-7 on his SEC prediction.
I'll go 12-6. I'm going to say 12-6.
Okay.
I'm going to say 12-6. I'll go a little homer tonight.
Okay, 12-6.
It's been a rough day.
Yeah, it's been a rough day. 12-6 for him in the SEC. Looking very quickly at February and March for myself.
You're just going win here, win loss win. Or that's how you're calling it to me, though.
Yeah, I'll do that too. Okay, so moving from Alabama to Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama. I will go win, loss.
Yep. That's to Arkansas for those that are just painfully listening to this.
Win.
Okay, that's at Mississippi
loss.
State. Home against Kentucky.
Win.
At Oklahoma.
Win.
Again, first Ole Miss, first LSU, at Alabama.
Was that 3 losses?
You said at Alabama. You said home against Kentucky, at Arkansas. Yeah, 3.
Okay, well, look at that. So we both said 12-6 on the SEC schedule. So to put everything in perspective, to round out our time here,
15-3. Holy cow! Sorry, I'm looking at our chat. I know, feeling good tonight.
We got some people feeling good tonight. Austin has predicted a non-conference of 9-4 and a SEC of 12-6, which brings his total.
Lock it in right now. I'd take it right now.
21-10 for Austin.
I would do that right now.
21-10
in the SEC. That is a what was our conference record? 12-6.
12-6.
That is a day 2. You're that's not top 4, but that's top 8 or whatever it is. Yeah, top 8 in the SEC tournament. So you get at least 1 game.
Yeah,
obviously you at least get 1 game. You would get a max of 3 games in the SEC, the hardest conference in the league. That is a top 6 seed in the NCAA tournament. I would lock in 21-10 right this second.
So my totals would be 22-9 based off of our breaking that down.
I'd take that too.
I would take that, but I'm actually going to switch gears here and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm actually going to change it to 20-11 because the more that I look at the fullness of the record, I don't like it in a first year.
That feels nice.
I like 20-11 still good. But I'm going to go with 11 losses in the 31 games. So you're at 21-10. I'm at 20-11. That way I look better when we're both wrong.
That's right.
And
or we're both wrong and I look better, which is what we want.
That's what we want. And I've told y'all all the time, I would love to be wrong about some things because that means Auburn succeeds. So there you go. There's our predictions. Last predictions for this part. Does Auburn make an SEC tournament run and how far?
What's a run like?
Let's
Saturday.
How about this? Are they a double bye?
That would put them at what? Friday.
Yeah.
Is that top 4?
That'd be top 4. Yeah.
No.
Right.
Not
Friday,
with the record
Saturday,
I just gave you.
Okay, so they're a single bye.
Top 4. Yeah, single bye.
I agree. I think there'll be a single
bye. Which I
bye.
like more.
You could argue there's some advantages to that. Do they win the SEC tournament championship?
No.
Do they win the SEC regular championship?
No, not at 12-6.
I would agree with all of those things. Just making sure we're getting on the record for all these different things. So
maybe they do 12-6. Who knows? This league's gonna beat the crap
Right.
out of each other. So
Right.
who knows?
So there you have it. There's our predictions for the regular season for the SEC tournament. And finally, I think we all agree that not making the tournament would be a big disappointment.
Big.
It's the standard.
That's the floor now at Auburn.
That Stephen has set here at Auburn too, as far as being part of the staff. What do you expect based off the limited information you have about this team as their ceiling of making it in the tournament?
Like what's a 5 seed?
A 5 seed is their
ceiling?
Know.
Yeah, their ceiling. I'm sorry. I thought what you were asking me what I project. Their ceiling of what
Sweet
we know
16,
about this team.
Elite 8. Day 2.
Shoot. I think ceiling probably like what we know on as it sits the day before the season starts. It is Sweet 16 and maybe Elite 8.
Yeah,
I think this team can. It's going to depend a lot on where the scoring comes from when somebody has a bad night and if the defense can hold up throughout the entire season.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the Memphis. That I guess that we could have, or we maybe we will. But we
won't have time for it. But basically, they had a very, very good offensive showing. So that kind of
a good offensive and defensive showing.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is that the first exhibition game was more about the defense, and then the offense showed up against a Memphis program that's pretty good. At least historically and all that. I don't know exactly where it's going to shake out from this year, but. I mean, they showed out in both aspects of the game in the preseason game and show that they can go down the wire even into overtime. So you've got some things to be really excited about.
Correct.
From the preseason.
I would say ceiling of Sweet 16, and that probably like toe in the line, not very one way or the other.
Right.
But that's what I would say. Do you differ?
I will say that with Bruce, anything less than a Sweet 16 towards the end there was a disappointment. And I don't want to set the expectations too high right now because there is going to be.
Well, but so is an expectation. It's just ceiling.
Ceiling. I think the ceiling is fair to say. I think if all pieces go together, Elite 8 is the ceiling.
Okay.
But I'm going to say that my expectation is for them to make it to round 2.
I would agree. I would agree.
First year. That is my expectation. Anything less than that, it's not that it's a bad season. It's just a disappointment where I think things are capable of being right now with the retained staff.
A first round exit or missing the tournament is a disappointment.
Oh yes, missing the tournament is an absolute disappointment.
I would totally agree with you.
Okay, so there you go. Previews and predictions abound. We'll see how we do. I want to very briefly here, we do want to touch on our women's basketball program. We're not going to go into the full detail of it, but just to give you the breakdown at first year, head coach for Larry Vickers coming over from Norfolk State, stepping into the SEC. And I think when we broke down the schedule several months ago, we saw some favorable matchups for him at home in the SEC especially. So what I'd like you to kind of set the table in terms of what are you hoping and expecting to see out of the team that had to rebuild its roster, has to play in the SEC in women's basketball. You've got, if I did my math right on that one, 14 games in non-conference, 16 in conference play. What would you hope to see, expect to see out of the women's basketball team in terms of a preview?
It's a really good question. I think a lot of people are not sure what this team's going to look like from identity, from what Coach Larry Vickers wants to get out of them. Certainly, you can look at some of his past teams at Norfolk State and understand what kind of offensive defense they want to look at or look to be. But I think in the SEC and how it translates will be a question mark. I think you just want to see that there's progress, certainly, but some of those milestones that Kyle and I probably bore all of you with, but things that are just that build upon each other. Excuse me,
voice
so
is giving
choked
out.
up about it. It is that build upon each other in a first year program. Things like exciting performances from certain players. Things like recruiting starting to go well. Being in it with teams in this league that might not be the top of the league. We're not talking about LSU, South Carolina, Texas, but what teams that are closer to you and to where Auburn's been, which has not been great in the last decade of Auburn women's basketball, but that you start making up some of that ground. So certainly we need an SEC win. I think one is you need one. The winless should not happen.
Right.
Now that won't be easy, but winless should not happen. And you hope that Auburn maybe has some element of surprise with a new coach and so many new faces and things like that.
Let me present this to you as a scenario that I think is plausible, and you can please correct me if you think it's not. I think getting above 500 in non-conference is doable, even in starting this year. Now, even if that's like dead even, or not dead even, but just one above 500 in non-conference, and I think we're going to get more than one SEC win, and it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I do too.
I think we'll get multiple of them. How about this? How confident are you that the first year under Larry Vickers of the women's basketball team will be above 500 overall?
Overall. Are you asking me like put a percentage on it?
Yeah, just like we did with the coach.
This non-con is hard though. We talked about this.
Difficult.
Like Oregon, Syracuse, Cal,
and that's why I said
Rutgers.
500 is good.
I'm gonna say like 50-50. I could see it either way. I don't think we're gonna see them 5 games below 500, but I think they might be toeing the line, maybe trying to do it there at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's so hard to know how this is going to go for first-year head coach Larry Vickers. He literally had to rebuild the staff, tough SEC schedule, very strong non-conference schedule. I think we all need to be patient, and I know that's difficult for fans, but certainly we will wait and see eagerly how they do. I'm excited to watch the new era because, look, 2 new eras of basketball for Auburn are beginning at the same time, and that's going to make some extra newness, extra fun times for the year.
So many new coaches.
Very briefly at the end here, I'll do it rapid fire because we are way over time and we knew we would be with these topics that we had to talk about.
Pretty good though for what we covered. Pretty good.
Women's soccer has unfortunately, I would say, probably ended their season in the SEC tournament at least. They are, I don't know, I could be wrong. They did have a pretty good non-conference, didn't they? If I'm not.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
How about this? The SEC tournament is done for them. They lose in the first round as the lowest seed to LSU. That's not a great setting for that. I just don't know if we're going to be able to make it into the tournament with the full resume or not. But whether or not they do, the first year for James Armstrong is coming to a close. We'll wait and see what happens and then maybe address it a little bit more fully later. And we didn't have time to talk about it tonight. Men's golf had a great end to their fall season, especially Jackson Coyvin's having a good year as for the most part. But Josiah Gilbert, he had a strong end to the fall with the way he did. So a little bit of a shout out to him as well. With that being said, what an episode of the Auburn Experience podcast it was. 148 will go down as another historic one where we're having to break down yet another Auburn football coaching hire. Hopefully this is the last time for a long time that you and I have to do that one. If you want to keep up with me, do so wherever you can find me. I'm kind of on Twitter personally, but E2C Network is where you can contact a bunch of our direct messages, e2cnetwork@gmail.com. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Austin G. Scott on most things. It's going to be a fun time to talk about it. I think in closing that, not to belabor the point and get sappy, that as we've seen time and time again, Auburn is far bigger than one person, far bigger than a collective coaching staff or group of people, and will be just fine. Auburn will be just fine, and it might not seem like that, and some of you want to get yourself down in the dumps about it, but it's a special place that has all the resources and tools, and there's no reason for us to be clowned or made to believe in the fact that it's as dysfunctional as it has been in the place, and that Auburn has a lot of issues it needs fixing on its own before anybody respectable can come in here and perform. I've already seen it, and it just irks me to no end. Auburn's a special place, and Auburn's going to be just fine. So I'm looking forward to it. It now that we're in it, It's always fun in a sick, twisted kind of way, but it's a lot of fun. And Kyle and I will be here to break it all down as much as we can, the longer it goes.
And listen, this is always a great place for those of you that stuck around to the end of the live or the recording to remind you, because I know a lot of you are checking in during this time period because, hey, it's interesting when there's a coaching change. We're much bigger than sports. We're much bigger than just your generic podcast about a college sports team. This is about the experience here, sports, culture, family, all of it. So get on board here, get acquainted with our audience, and we'll enjoy having you all here for the next run for an Auburn football head coach, no matter how long that lasts. It didn't have to be this way. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us for episode 148 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Till we talk to you again. Oh, almost forgot. The Auburn Experience, the Auburn Creed asks you to do these things: to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.
War Eagle.